I spent 6 months working on what was supposed to be my first commercial game, only to realize that I needed to start over. Actually, it's the second time that I went back to the beginning. Towards the end of last year, I decided that I would take myself seriously and push to release my first publicly available game on Steam by April. While looking for inspiration, I saw one of those silly ads on YouTube that's nothing like the game that they're advertising for. The player had to destroy barrels as they came rolling towards them, collecting power-ups to multiply their shots or upgrade their weapons. It reminded me of Plants vs. Zombies in a way, a game that I spent too much of my high school years playing. I figured, that looks easy enough, I could release a better version of that, and so I started prototyping what I called Totally Awesome Monster Defense. It was going to be a cross between Fall Guys, Plants vs. Zombies, and that ad I saw. I quickly implemented the core mechanics, a wave spawner, automatic shooting, and horizontal movement. That was really all I needed to figure out if it was worth continuing. And it was fun. For about 30 seconds. I liked the basic concept of what I had, but it wasn't going anywhere, at least not in that state. I scrapped that idea and I went back to the drawing board. Although this time I wasn't entirely empty-handed. I still wanted to maintain the Plants vs. Zombies feel while moving away from everything else. Another game that I started to look at was Dungeon Defenders. I really liked the freedom that the game provided to the player along with the fantasy setting. This was a bit of an aha moment for me. After putting together a new prototype, I decided this would be the one. I originally called it Forsaken Isles Xenia's Defense, but it would eventually be renamed to Paradise Defense Force. This one was a hit. I found myself just playing instead of actually testing the game. I was proud of what I had accomplished and was excited to work on the project day after day, adding and testing and adding and testing. There was no way I thought I could burn out because I was enjoying every second of what I was doing, but I let the excitement get the better of me and cloud my judgment. For as excited as I was, I neglected one crucial element. I wasn't organized. Despite this, I spent a weekend putting together my very first Steam page. I grabbed some screenshots of the game, recorded some gameplay, and whipped up a trailer. I didn't put any real thought into the content of the page, I was just eager to hit publish. This was where that disorganization started to cause problems. I posted the Steam page on Reddit for review, and I was rightfully torn apart. My eyes were opened. The next weekend, I spent more time refining the Steam page, and the result is the page that is currently available. There is still so much work to be done with it, and it doesn't reflect the present state of the game. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas or tips or what you did with your own Steam page. I could use the advice. The burnout did eventually catch up to me. I was too focused on getting to the end result that I didn't care how I got there. I lived by, if it works, move on. My code was a tangled mess full of dependencies and public variables. It was somehow functional, yet also an entirely chaotic disaster. It got to a point where I would spend hours refactoring multiple classes just to add one more attack to an enemy or one more level to select from. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I gave up. My excuse was that I had creator's block and that I just needed a little bit more time. 2 months went by without touching Unity before I pushed myself to finally sit down and try again. I told myself that this time would be different. This time, I made a plan. I laid out exactly which mechanics were necessary to the core gameplay loop and how I could design them in such a way that they would be able to scale easily as the game grew. I completely reworked the game from the ground up. The only thing that carried over from the previous project was the name and concept. That brings us to where we are today. I'm beyond happy with what I've achieved, both past and present. I needed to work through those struggles in order to become a better game designer and developer. Right now, Paradise Defense Force is still in the early stages of its second life, with so much room to grow. Consider this video Devlog 0. In the next video, I'll give you a walkthrough of the game in its current state, as well as where I plan to take it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video.